Hi, this is Zak Mir with the US Chartbreakers here at Zak's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 11th of July. Starting off with the S&P, where we had a rather unlikely looking target, 5,800, maybe by the end of next month. The way things are going, could be hit even by this month. We've had basically straight progress, as straight as you can have. The initial resistance there on the latest move, around 55.10. Above that, we've been looking for 5,800 ultimately. Current situation is that recent support probably towards 55.50 intraday, but as I said, the market seems to be heading higher at a rate of knots. At the moment, though, still 5,800 by the end of next month rather than this month, and ideally we stay on the right side of 55.50 in the meantime. On to the Nasdaq and the Nasdaq 100, that is, and here progress within that very steep rising April trend channel, which we identified a couple of weeks ago. Here we've got the top of the channel now heading towards 21,600. Looking for that as soon as the end of this month, given the current rate of progress. Floor of the channel around 20,200, and that's the notional support area on any rug pull. Would hope that if we do have a sell-off, it wouldn't be much lower than 20,000. Moving on to the stocks and a few bright situations at the moment. The first one is Antelope, and here beautiful turnaround, a great U-shaped or saucer-shaped turnaround, which normally indicates power in the turnaround. We had a resistance line projection from back in December. That is now finally looks like it's coming into view around $6.80, hopefully over the next week or so, and ideally we stay above the previous day's resistance around $4.80, the resistance from Tuesday, ahead of $6.80 over the next week or two. Another situation which is worth taking a look at the moment is coming up, asset entities, and here looks like we've got potential falling wedge breakout, or at least turnaround, intermediate turnaround. The initial target here after the break of the 50-day moving average around the $2 level is $2.60, and that April resistance line ultimately looking for up to $4.50 by the end of next month, if everything goes well with this current bear trap rebound that we've got for the shares. Moving along to Cyclerion, and here the hopes that we'd break out of that falling wedge, a bit like the last stock, have proved to be true. The 50-day line there at $2.70, and above that looking for a resistance line projection from June last year as high as $5.70 by the end of this month. Looks as though the shares are on their way. Moving on to another stock of interest at the moment, and here you'll see why at Cambium. The reason for this is it looks as though after a very extended bear run, we're finally going to have at least an intermediate rally. Falling trend channel there from December, top of the channel there around $3.40. We're looking for that by the end of this month, especially while we remain above the Wednesday resistance for the shares, or basically the right side of $2. So above $2, looking for $3 plus there at Cambium. A bit sparkle on the next stock here, GeoVax. We already had our initial target there, $3.60. It looks as though we'll have to, or we will, retest that. We've had a rebound above the rising 50-day line, above $3.60, looking for ultimately as high as $7, maybe as soon as the end of next month. Two bounces for the RSI above neutral 50, which should give this situation ongoing momentum as that configuration normally does. Next up is Inspire, and here we see that the shares are finally trying to make a move. A nice spike through the 50-day line, and unlike previous spikes, it hasn't been sold into intraday. So above the 50-day line there, $2.67. Looking for that resistance line projection there from January to be hit as high as $16 by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above recent resistance, our March-April resistance around $5.60, ahead of a potential move to $15 by the end of August. Moving on to a stock which we highlighted just yesterday and before the market opened, and it's a longer bear on. Here you can see that we had our first target there at the top of that falling trend channel, $3.80, above $3.80, looking now for as high as $8.50 by the end of next month. But the key here is holding above recent resistance and basically staying on the right side of $4 if that is possible. Another situation which has got a bit of a sparkle is coming up next, which is Lantheus. Here Second gap higher in the recent past. We've got a massive wide rising trend channel for this stock, and that channel's been in place basically since the summer of 2022. Top of the channel heading for $125, which is what we're looking for, while we're above the old May 2023 resistance zone at $100. So above 100, looking for 125 on Lantheus. Stock which is not quite so familiar is Solaris, and here you can see a massive gap through the 50-day line and taking out all the recent resistance, including the resistance from last summer around $11. Above $11, looking for as high as the top of that rising trend channel from March last year up to $13.50. We could see that by the end of this month, and ideally we stay around, well, at least above the $10.50 area, which was resistance back in the autumn. On to the last two. The first one is very pleasing indeed, Unicure. And here the reason for saying that is that we've blasted out that initial triangle target there, $7.90. And above that, looking for fresh leg to the upside as high as $13 perhaps by the end of this month. Resistance on the way down around $8.70, so that's the area that we would like to hold on an end of day close basis, but one might have to allow down to $7.90, the initial target on any retracement. Another stock which has done us proud is Zyversa, and here you can see why. The shares obviously a sort of brutal bear run, but we have managed to emerge from a falling wedge situation. We had one false start, and then, as suggested previously, it looked like it could be second time lucky. Above the 50-day line at $4.70, looking for up to $14 on the basis that the first situation, the first trigger there was a bull trap. So let's see if Zyversa can step up to the plate. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.